Got it. I think I need to be promoted to a host as well. Or co-host, whichever you choose.
We'll make you a co-host.
Right. Not too much power.
Please, yeah, keep you humble.
Awesome. Well, welcome everybody to our community call, November 3rd. Here we go. We have one more month in 2021. One more community call to go for this year. Very, very exciting. Let's just do a little centering. Let's do an energetic centering as we do at AmpCoil. Just to bring, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 people, 20 people on this call. But there's so many people at home that are they're coiling, they're busy schedules are filling up our lives. So we'll bring those people into our prayer, our level of awareness, just to bring love and light and good vibes to them as well as we bring this call into a start. So if we can just come into our breath, put our hands on our heart. If you want to even out your feet, if you're standing, if you want to wiggle through your hips, if you're sitting, just come back into your body. I'll ask everybody a question as you have your hands on your heart. Take a deep breath in. Hold that breath. What are you feeling right now? What's your feeling? Just sit with that for a second. Take a deep breath out on a yawn. I'm reminded in our AmpCoil universe of frequency and magnetics and different ways to work with the energetic body, how important it is to tap in with what we're actually feeling. Because of social guidelines or politeness or manners, we will oftentimes, in a reflexive nature, disregard our immediate feeling to a response. And I think a lot of the work that we do on the coil is getting clear with what those feelings are again, in real time. And that is healing. I had a great experience this week with doing some AmpCoil stuff and playing with a feelings and needs workshop. And it was really magical. So just keep that in your mind. Play with that when you're doing your sessions this week. And so to remind everybody on our community call, this is your time to share. It's our time to really commune and talk. Now, there aren't a lot of people on here, so I would say, let's just go for a free-for-all. If anybody has anything they're going through, something they're experiencing, something they want to share with the community, something they want help with, remember, as a general guideline, we try to stay away from our what do I coil for rickettsia questions and more, how can we support you energetically or how are you doing emotionally? But we'll probably answer it at the end of the day. So I'm going to turn it over to you. If anybody wants to unmute. And I'm looking around. You can raise a hand. I can unmute you too.
I'll go, Freddie.
Go ahead. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Freddie.
You want to introduce yourself just because maybe if somebody listens to this replay, where you are and maybe what you do and how long you've had an AmpCoil, maybe. That might be a good one thing for us to practice.
Sure. My name is Anna Yazdi. I'm in Los Angeles. I have had an AmpCoil, I think, for 4 years. I am a wellness guide. So I see clients in person and it's a fusion of like a body work, energy work, and AmpCoil. Like I use the three of them together with the intention to help reset their nervous system, guide them into like a parasympathetic state. I also do just AmpCoil by itself. And then I'm a functional coach. I partner with Freddie actually and support clients in that way as well. So I was reminded in talking with Freddie, and the reason why I'm on this call, a lot of what I talk to my clients about is always a good reminder to myself. And I have COVID right now. And so I I was talking to a friend of mine about a month ago whose husband had COVID, and she said that she was really surprised at the psychological and emotional aspect of it. And I really understand what she's talking about. That's probably been the hardest and worst part of it for me as well. And I'm on the call because I was having this conversation with Freddie, and he had asked me to share this with all of you. I think there's something that I've been talking about to my clients for many, many years. It's this part of the spiritual community that's like the good vibes only, spiritual bypassing, let's just like try harder to be more positive and not let the negative feelings in. And unfortunately, what happens is that because we are all human beings with a full spectrum of feelings that are there for a reason. Our emotions and our feelings are actually there to communicate things to us, to tell us what's going on inside. And so if we just choose to ignore them and push them aside and override them with like positivity and feelings that aren't really there before we look at them and allow ourselves to work through them, they never really go away. What we end up doing is burying them underneath, and they end up festering and coming back bigger and badder and way worse. And so for me, since I've had COVID, I've been dealing a lot with fear, which I thought I'd done a really good job of not being a part of, because I haven't been watching the news. I haven't been getting involved in arguments. I haven't been, like taking sides. I've just kind of been doing my own thing. And still the fear is coming through. Like, I'm going to have brain fog for the rest of my life, and so, or like my lungs are going to hurt every time I want to take a deep breath. This is just me now. And when you feel really, really crap, the longer you feel crappy, the easier it is to feel like you're never going to get better. And beyond that, like when you're alone, like for me, I started to feel sorry for myself. Like nobody's here to make soup for me, like just like all those, like I would, and I have like 15 people a day checking up on me, wanting to like bring me groceries and like take care of me. I am like good. I have so much love in my life, but like still, like, I start to feel sorry for myself. But the worst part about feeling all of those things, I think for a lot of people, is that we feel those things and then we beat ourselves up for feeling them. So we can't just like allow ourselves to like be gentle with ourselves when we go there, because that's also a part of us, like the shadow aspect of us. If we can't learn to love that part of ourselves, then we can't really truly learn to love ourselves. And so, when people say, well, oh, you're sad because you're alone, that means you don't love yourself enough. It's almost like they're telling you you're doing it wrong. You're not loving yourself good enough. You're not good enough. Or like you're worried about your finances. Well, you're not focusing on the right thing, and you're not manifesting hard enough or whatever. Then basically, it's like they're telling you that you're like, I don't know, you're doing it wrong. You're like not doing life right. and people, my clients a lot of times will tell me they feel like maybe I'm not being positive enough. I need to try harder at being positive. Maybe I'm not, trying hard enough. And I always like to remind them to actually just let themselves feel what they need to feel, like to actually just sit and like really go there. That's hard to like. I have actually a practice. It's a meditation by a guy named David Hawkins, who wrote a book called Letting Go. And the whole practice is to actually sit down and let all of those yucky feelings that we run away from, that we make ourselves overly busy so that we don't have to feel them, to just let them all surface, like welcome them in. Don't try to change them. Don't try to transmute them. Don't try to let them go into the light. Anything, but just like let them be and love them and accept that they are part of who we are. And then in that way, we can all like really learn to truly love ourselves. because we're all human. And any guru or shaman or teacher, anybody who acts like they don't feel like these negative feelings or thoughts or fears or whatever, they're lying and they're dangerous, honestly, so I just wanted to come here to remind everybody to like just be gentle with yourself and to let yourself be the full spectrum of humanity that you are, because that's really where you shine. And that's where really where, we allow other people also to feel safe to be themselves. And that's all we really want. That's all anybody really wants.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful share, Anna. Yeah, and I think you're only a week in, right? It's only about a week, so you're doing really good. You're on a Zoom.
Only a week.
I know. Only a week. There's, from my experience, people, I'm there's a lounge here in Austin that people are going for, they're doing IV infusions even a month, 2 months, 3 months after, still struggling, not running, not jogging. It really is, you're upright and you're on a Zoom call. I was like, and I reminded, you look at the number of people who have lost their lives globally. It's a lot. So it's amazing that we, can be here and have such a deep level of awareness around health, all the things that go into the health, like the emotions, like feelings and needs, like minerals, like amp coil, like sunlight, like red light therapy and browning. It really does make a difference. I know when I was sick a month ago, and Jesse, you were sick a month ago, and it takes a village. All right.
You're on mute.
I was gonna say, I know I'm one of the fortunate ones. I know that it's only, I'm like recovering actually relatively quickly. And I was telling Freddie earlier, like, I mean, obviously I'm a believer in amp coil. I've been using it for 4 years, but it's sealed the deal, especially the pain release. I mean, I've been running that 3 times a day because my body I was in so much pain. Every joint in my body was hurting, and I'm completely pain free now. Which I know that's something that actually people have to live with for a really long time. So I know I'm very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate and grateful. Yeah. Thank God I have an amp coil.
Amen. Yeah, that was my biggest thing, that I got and my pain was like a 10 out of 10. And I had immediate pain relief from the wellness part 1, from pain release. There were certain journeys that were just like knocked it out of the park for, long enough for me to sleep for a couple hours. So that was incredible. Yeah, sealed the deal. I love that. All right, does anybody else want to share?
I want to just respond really quick. I'm so grateful that you shared all of that, and I can relate so much with everything that you said. Yeah, the like word for word for my experience with COVID and all of the feelings and the funny like emotion, not funny, but the emotional piece. It's funny because of the way that everybody was there for me, and I felt so alone, and I could see that. But it's like one thing to see it, and then it's another thing to feel it deep inside of me. So just wanting to send you love right now in the portal. And just for me, it was like, I had the like kind of sound similar symptoms to you. And for me, it took about 2 weeks. And by the end of the second week, I felt good again. And it was, I think the first week was probably the hardest. And I also want to just say that when I was sick, our Amp Coil team, and the people that I've met through Amp Coil were so supportive to me. It was so reassuring and loving, and each person on the team took a moment to call me and lend me their wisdom and their tools and listen to me and tell me that they loved me, tell me that I was going to be okay, encouraged me to get certain, different types of care that maybe I wasn't doing. It was such a profound experience. And yeah, I want to speak that into the space because that was really cool. That was cool that that's a part of my life because of Amp Coil. And yeah, so thanks for sharing. That was the best.
You're muted. Yeah, that was an incredible, incredible share, Anna. So thank you for that. And I love the little exploration around the spiritual bypass, the thinking that if we don't feel perfect, that we're doing something wrong. And one of the things that I have found really helpful and have been experiencing with a few groups is forgiveness for self. That it's to be able to forgive ourselves for whatever's coming up and whatever we need and whatever's going on inside that we may not have dealt with that's causing us to feel that way. It's okay. And sometimes that's helpful to just allow yourself to feel what's happening. So, but thank you so much. What a beautiful community.
Mhm. I have a question about brain fog.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had COVID, but I have for the last 2 years, my brain fog comes and goes, and sometimes it's really severe. And I was wondering if Amp Coil has a journey for brain fog.
Anybody want to answer?
Sure. Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways you can go about it. You know, it's the driver. What I'd say is, and probably Lori would say from our support team, is that there are so many different drivers or triggers for brain fog. You know, it can be environmental, which can be an air quality. It could be digestive in nature. It could be a compromised small intestine. So when you're eating certain foods, there's particles of those foods that pass through that that barrier of the small intestine, and they act like inflammation. You know, and there's so many things that it could be. So where one person might have assistance from, you know, that immediate cognitive disability, like playing Brain Reboot, which is a journey for 15 minutes, which is meant to kind of be like a cup of coffee for the head. That would be my first suggestion to go to. Another person might find benefit with their brain fog in playing the General Detox album and looking at something like Brain 1 or Brain 2, which are different. General Detoxes are 30 different organ albums that go in succession. Or another person might find that it's metal toxicity. So they might find great benefit in doing like a metals 1 and 2 cleanse and playing that formula over and again 6 times. It really depends on your, you know, your body and why you're getting brain fog.
Okay, because some days it's really bad and some days it's I could think really clear, you know, so it's trying to figure out what's causing it. And you know, it's sometimes it gets pretty severe. So I was just
Gary, you raised your hand. Gary wants to add.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to share my experience. Personally, I have a candida issue. So when I have candida flare-ups, I have brain fog. And so when I work on my diet and run, especially when I run the candida cleanse, I notice a huge difference. And sometimes I notice it's a toxicity thing, and if I take an infrared sauna, then my brain starts working better. So that's just been my personal experience.
okay.
Yeah.
It can get pretty scary. Like 4 months ago, I would play like the card game Solitaire, and I hadn't played in 4 months, and today I came to play and I couldn't even remember how to deal the cards. I couldn't even remember how to start playing. And that's the kind of like, it's kind of scary. So thank you.
That is
Yeah.
that is scary, and I've experienced the same thing. And what I've noticed, when the toxins are gone, it's just like a switch and my brain works and I remember those
Exactly.
things. You know,
Okay.
it's not like it's gone forever.
Okay. Thanks for sharing and tips, because I think I do have candida problems. So maybe it is from that.
Mm.
Thank you.
The more,
Amy?
go ahead, Angie, you go.
I was just going to say, because I don't hear this come up a lot, but for me personally, when I have brain and neurological stuff firing. I tend to, it's hit or miss, but sometimes I have luck with like anything that's labeled sensory. So I'm trying to remember if there's like an organ album touch up or if it's in the Detox library, but anything that says sensory, I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm just kind of like, maybe that'll hit. And, you know, I would say like at least 50% of the time, I'll get some relief off that.
Okay.
Maybe something to try.
Thanks.
It's great.
Thank-
All right. Does anybody else want to go or add?
I'll just tell you guys that I'm like holding strong. Like I'm totally stable still, which is, you know, because I've been reporting, you know, over the months with all of you over the last year or so, and I'm doing really, really well. But for the longest time, I was always like, I don't know, should I say anything? Because like, it's probably only going to last a couple of weeks, or it's probably only, because that was my life for years. And no, I'm totally stable. I'm doing really good. It's not stopping. And I just doubled my client load. I'm working almost full time, which is like, it just blows my mind because, you know, I mean, 4 years in a bed without work. Yeah, ever since my 2020 comeback, it's, and a little side note, I got rid of my moldy car. I had mold in my car and like nobody basically believed me or would take me seriously. And I finally ditched it and gotten in a new car. And within like, I'm going to say 2.5 weeks, it was amazing how much, you know, I was amazed at what I was able to do even in that situation. And I started thinking, I probably told Debbie, I was like, if my body can do this well in a moldy car, just imagine if I like resolve this problem. And that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, I'm just, you know, sometimes I wish like you guys could have met me 4 years ago, because it's like night and day, just night and day. But anyways, so yeah, yay. And I'm having good luck with other people too. My sister-in-law came to me, she's got a new health issue and she's like, can I coil? So she's been coiling, getting really good symptom relief. Like I don't have to remind her. Like she texts me and she's like, can I come tonight at 6? Like she coiled right before this call. Lots of good stuff going on, but yeah, I just wanted to share with all you guys, like me personally, I still like, I would say like at least once a week, I'm driving in my car to a client's house and I'm like, I can't believe I'm driving my car, like let alone working almost full time.
I'm gonna start talking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, I already started talking. I didn't realize I had unmute. Hey, this is Sanaz. Sorry to interrupt you guys. I have company with me and I didn't, I can start my video. I don't know if it'll show me, but oh, it's kind of dark.
kind of dark.
Sorry.
Sanaz, did you have something to add?
Yes, well, I wanted to ask Angie, how did you find out you had mold in your car? Because, and then I'll tell you my story.
Yeah, so I found out because I'm a single girl. I have no kids, nobody's ever in my car. And my upholstery looked like army pants, like all over the whole car. And I was just like, I'm not imagining this. And then finally, like a couple summers ago, after a big, you know, hot weekend, the first hot weekend here, like I knew I was smelling something and it was just a struggle to get, you know, anyone to really take it seriously until the second year when then everybody else was like, yeah, it does kind of smell in here. But so I used a company called Immunolytics. That's just, it's like DIY. They send you a little kit, you put plates out and then you mail it back and they do the analysis and tell you like what actual species of mold it is so that you know kind of like where it might fall in its probability of harm. I've used them ever since that. I've used them. I think I just sent in like my 5th kit. You know, we just tested the house, my brother's house. I find it really useful.
Okay.
And
That's good to know. Analytics. I don't know that company, but the reason I
Yeah.
share this, I moved into an apartment a month ago and then I got sick again. So my journey, so I was gonna ask Freddie, because Freddie, I remember when I first heard about your journey, it was mold. And my apartment showed up for mold. So I had to get out. And my symptoms that I had a year ago, that started in 2020, that got worse. There was mold issues as well, but I was getting better. And then, moving into a space that had that within a week, I like declined. So, but I was working on metal toxicity as well at the time. So I didn't reintroduce anything on the AMP for like cleanses. I finished that out. And then, I removed myself from the place. And I was wondering what Freddie did to help himself with the AMP on the mold issue. Your turn, Freddie.
My turn. I mean, it's a super common story. We have tons of people on here that have a great experience, and then they have an experience or an uprising of symptoms for whatever reason, whether it's, and Angie called me when she started it, I was in Austin. You were like, I'm scared. My brain isn't working again. I'm losing words. What's happening? And I was like, we were like, yeah, dude, let's test the car. And that was it. It's just discovery. You really got to be a detective. And I have a person down here. There's another person that I was doing events with. She was tested her home and it was like off the charts. It was like a 29 on the ERMI test, which 12 is like, get out. 12 is like, don't live there anymore. So I think it's just a level of awareness we have to have, that people are sensitive to the environment. We've got to, really do our due diligence before we move into a new space. But from my experience, I can be in a moldy home now and not overreact. I can tell you it's moldy, and maybe I'll have a minor symptoms, but I don't have to run out crying or anything. It doesn't like take me to the floor. I'm not crippled in joint pain, and it's just become less sensitive. I'm definitely doing the work to unburden my body, because remember, it's the memory of the nervous system. It's just like a person. It's trauma, but it's on a biological level. That's it. It's like a trauma response to an environment. Your body it chooses to react that way as a survival mechanism, right?
Did you, besides cleanse, did you do anything that was like very exponentially significant on the AMP, instead of doing like a mold cleanse? Or
I mean, honestly, I just keep cleansing. Like, I keep doing it. I don't let up on it.
Freddie's one of the most consistent users I've met. He's committed.
I am committed.
He's committed to it.
I'll take a week off and then I go back at it. I go back at metals and mold.
Got it.
I keep going at metals and mold. And now I just tested, metals again in my system, and they're way, way down. Mercury's way down. So they're all in the acceptable limits. Mercury, lead, everything.
So I know it's not an AMP question, but what did you test? How did you test it? Because it's very hard to get that accuracy on a heavy metal test.
I do. Well, you can do a bunch of things. Let me just comment as not AMP coil Freddie, and I'll comment as human Freddie, my experience of what I did. I did an HTMA, so I'll send away like current biological activity, like some of my beard, and they'll put that in a lab. They'll put it through a chemical process, and your hair is very current cellular biological activity. So it's a great example of what's happening as far as minerals and metals. You're going to get ratios of like magnesium, potassium, and all these things. And from that data, they can usually point out if you've had metal toxicity or what the body is hiding as far as mineral ratios. So that's what I use to use that test. Blood's really not going to show anything, because remember, again, your body is a autoregulatory body. The body's going to do whatever it can to pull out that toxic. It's not going to keep metals in blood unless it's a 30-day exposure. That's true with lead. your body's going to get it out of there. It's going to put it in bones, going to park it in the hair. It's going to park it out of the bloodstream. So that's what
Right.
it's very consistent.
Yeah.
How about a urine test? Is a urine test for metals accurate?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think it just depends on who you read and who you follow.
Yeah,
Everybody has their tests that they like. I like the hair because it's a long snapshot. It's like 3 to 4 months of data. Blood and urine is like immediate. It could be daily.
Yeah,
2 days.
it's mostly blood is, like you said, it's an immediate exposure, and urine is even difficult. I mean, like for mercury, I think they talk about provocation test that you do that I think dislodges the mercury, but
Yeah.
those are sometimes not recommended. But yeah, it's a hard thing to gauge, but I guess if you are consistently doing one thing, you have kind of a baseline, and you know
Baseline.
where your how your body is responding.
Mm-hmm. And they said that when they looked over my tests, I did a podcast with these people. So I interviewed them and we went over my results live. So, and they both said, they were like, wow, you are really healthy. Like, they're like, your thyroid is like amazingly balanced. You have great salt in your system. They were like, everything looked great. And I had, not on thyroid medication anymore. None. I was on thyroid medication for over 8 years. Just stopped that one.
What company was this? Sorry.
Oh, it's called Upgraded Formulas.
Okay.
Upgraded Formulas. They're good. They're all over the place. There are lots of popular podcasts. Barton Scott is the guy. Yeah.
Thank you.
At the end of the day, it's like, it was cool to see all the good minerals reflected in my test results. It's the best test I've ever had by far.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's good to know. That's, I'm kind of like regressed. So
Sure.
I have to now work on getting better.
Yeah, so I'll offer, and I said this because the guy that does the test is a huge fan of amp coil, and because he's so mineralized, he goes, I would theorize that people really feel the amp coil when their minerals are properly balanced, because you're going to function just like the battery would, that you're going to hold the voltage. When you're depleted of minerals, when you're really low on potassium, when you're really low on minerals, and like magnesium, like the essentials, magnesium is present in 800 cellular processes, 800 plus of what we know. So when those are depleted and they are burned through 10 to 12 times through chronic stress, your body's going to hold energy differently. So it's definitely something to look at. Yeah. It's all part, I think it's all part of it. It's fascinating. It's all part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But how much can we get our body to hold on to? How long can you get your body to hold Demo Harmonizer? 2-3 days. I think that's my goal. I don't want to have to run Harmonizer every day. I want to try to get it to last 2-3 days.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, of course. But great questions. Good shares, everybody. Great. And we got the ERMI test. Marjorie said testing done by Mycometrics. That's great. I use Envirobiomics. They work great too. Immunologics is the test that Angie said that she used for her car with the little dishes. Those are really good. Awesome. Who else wants to go?
I have a question. I don't know if you can hear me. I have no voice.
Uh-oh, that's okay.
I haven't seen it on the list. But is aluminum included in the heavy metal detox?
There's metals 1 and metals 2. I would have to ask Lori. What's in what?
I didn't see one, but it might just not be listed.
Yeah, if you do I'm not sure what's listed. If you hit expanded view in general detox and see what comes up, what's listed. I don't think it's listed in general detox, but then I don't know what codes are in metals 1 and metal 2 in the cleanse album. So those are different. We'd have to ask Lori, but you could write support and ask.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I would assume with Dr. Deb, I feel like I've heard Dr. Deb mention that, but we'll find out.
Such a biggie, I would think it would be there.
It's a huge one.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's big. All right. Anybody else going around? You can raise your hand. You can unmute. Hi, Sue Caldwell. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Freddie. So happy to be back on this call.
How you doing, dear?
I'm okay. I'm okay, actually. I'm not sure. I got a little lost in the sauce with staying on top of the calendar, so I need to get back into the amp coil loop.
Mhm.
But I have to say, for not attending calls, I use my amp coil. I'm like you. I don't think I've, except maybe when I was on vacation. I amp coil 5 days a week religiously from the moment I bought that thing. I actually get the chills when I say it. I can't live without it. To this day, how many years? 2 years running.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my body craves it. And I still do the same thing. I put it on at night and I sleep with it. And if I have to get up and go to the bathroom, then I put another program on.
Mhm.
That's so happy to be back. Lots of love to everybody here.
Lots of love to you.
Thank you.
Great to have you here, Sue.
I love it, Sue. That I remember a couple of years ago, like probably 3 years ago, when I first heard about Amp Coil on social media. And there were like you guys had little videos, little kind of like mini commercials, and there was one girl that was a young girl. And she's just like, you got this, you coil, you got this going on, you coil, you got, that's totally me now. I'm just like anything anybody says to me, I'm like, oh yeah, come coil. Oh yeah, I can, I'm on it constantly. It's funny. I just, that definitely resonates with me, what you just said. Like, that's me.
It's my go-to. It's my main source of wellness support, mentally and physically.
Yeah, like I don't have a medicine cabinet anymore. I have a coil.
Yeah, exactly.
Energy medicine. I love it.
Hi, Jackie. Good to see you.
Wonderful
Yeah.
to see you here, Sue.
Thank you.
And what a gift. Like, that's such a beautiful part of amp coil, is to have it accessible in your home. You don't have to call someone. You don't have to drive somewhere. Like, just I'm sitting here listening to you say 2 years, 5 times a week. My body craves it, right? Being able to provide that for yourself is such a huge gift.
Mhm.
It feels really good. And the amount of support is not lost on me after 2 years. Like I shudder to think where I'd be without it.
Mhm.
So thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Back to metals. Do you know if arsenic is included in the metals 1 and 2?
I want to say that one is
Okay.
in there.
I did a hair sample about 6 weeks ago and it showed high arsenic, but then just this last week I did a urine one and it came back normal. So I don't know if I had it and then I didn't, but I was just wondering if I do metals 1 and 2, if that would just take care of it if I did still have any.
Well, I did see Lori pop on. Lori, if you wanted to comment, do you know what's in metals 1 and metal 2 offhand? Let's see if Lori, I see Lori 1's on the 530. You probably got to unmute that one if you're still here.
I'm looking at the quick start guide now also, but
Yeah.
I'm still getting there, getting to a place where it tells us.
And of course, right, we're always dealing with the overall stress on the being and the body. So as you're, running these journeys and you're supporting your body coming back into balance relative to
I'm here.
metals. Hey, Lori.
Hi. Sorry, guys.
and
Couldn't
gives you
figure out how to unmute myself as usual. Another 100 or so times, I'll figure it out. So on the metals, if you were to look at what you're being tested for, like when you go for a heavy metal test, there's probably 10 or 12 of the big guys. They're in metals 2, metals 1, and metals 2 would be the other not so big metals. I think maybe the Galadium or some of those things would be in 2, but definitely, the big guys like arsenic would be in 1. But, just remember everything is synergistic. So, I do them both and just make sure that, if you are doing metals that, if you have metals in your mouth, then be really careful. Some people suggest taking chlorella, the little tablets of chlorella, and you put them in your mouth right around the fillings that have the metal. And you take 3 or 4 of them and you just let them dissolve. And then after you run the metals, spit it out and rinse, 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 rinse. And the chlorella is actually a really good absorber of metals and detoxer of metals in the body.
Wonderful. Wonderful, guys. Well, this is your time. We all have a few minutes left. Does anybody else want to share? Does anybody else have a question? Anything you're going through that you want support with from the Amp-Coil community?
Can I say one thing, Freddie?
You can, yeah.
Can I give everybody a reminder that next Thursday is the second Thursday of the month, and at 11 o'clock Pacific time, we do a support call where anybody can ask any questions and we all answer them. And then I ramble on for a while, but it's a lot of fun. So hope to see you all there next Thursday.
It's a great reminder if anybody ever needs to know where the calls are and how to get on calls. It's ampcoil.com and go to the events page. And you can find the call that Lori's talking about. You can find the link to this community call. You can find the ambassador call now. It's the first week of the month, but Jessa, if any of our ambassadors are on, we have a ambassador special training, right, on Thursday
Yes.
with Mike Harlander, who is consulting us and teaching us all these cool things about being better ambassadors, how to engage, lots of great mindset stuff, lots of tactical skills that Mike's teaching. It's really great, the work he's doing. So there's ambassadors on. Oh, hold on, I'll mute that.
And if there are folks on that aren't ambassadors yet, if you've had an Amp-Coil for, at any amount of time and just haven't chosen to get involved with the ambassador program, this is a fabulous time to step up and to start to come to these trainings. We're running some special promotions and we call them the ambassador in training. So all you need to do is reach out, ambassadors@ampcoil.com, let us know that you're interested and we will get you in, and there's wonderful opportunities. We've got some just fabulous promotions in terms of you sharing the tech and getting referral fees for that, and really kind of coming together as a community and working through understanding the best ways to share it. So fabulous, fabulous opportunity. We're having so much fun on those calls. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting on those calls. So so as Jackie said, we're always wanting people to learn more about the coil and be on those training calls. The other thing that is really neat is we had such great success. We'll just go ahead and just give a teaser announcement, is that Amp-Coil, we're going to be going all over the country in 2022, starting with a big show in Las Vegas. I think it's March 19th, 20th. So we'll be going to the Biohacking Congress, their next live event in Las Vegas. So if you want to meet the Amp-Coil team, that could be a fun place if you feel like up to traveling. Highly recommended. We were just in Miami with the Biohacking Congress, and it was a great experience. I was there. Caitlin was there from the Amp-Coil team. You guys all know and love Caitlin. And it was a wonderful weekend of meeting so many new people, and so many people that were just really fell in love with the technology while we were there. We were totally the hit of the show. So please think about that, that we'll send out emails and invites. And then the other one, we're also going to be doing a health show in Austin. That's going to be December 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It's called How You Health. How do you health? How do you do your health? And there's speakers from all over the country, and there'll be an Amp-Coil room at that event. All the good things, vitamin IVs, live music, dance parties, health and wellness done right. And it's at it's called the Austin Music Ranch, which is a ranch that the Dixie Chicks own. It's a beautiful ranch. I've been there. It's like 9 buildings. pools and hot tubs and dance spaces. It's wild. So that'll be December 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So we'll be there too. So lots of physical opportunities, should you feel comfortable and inspired to actually be in physical community, not just Zoom community. So we'll definitely be sending out communications about that and dates and how to get tickets and all the things. And yeah, it was really fun to be in front of people. Jessa sent out the recording
Yeah.
in the newsletter. So it's there if you want to take a peek at what we did and what we spoke about.
It's a great new little video also that you can send your friends if they're curious what the amp coil is. Freddie does a great job of painting a beautiful theatrical picture. We're very lucky to have the energy that you bring, Freddie. So
Thank you.
check that out in the newsletter. Also, I think mostly everybody here this time was here on the last community circle call or as an ambassador, but not everybody. And I'll just say this for the recording also to remember that for the rest of the fourth quarter, as an ambassador, referral rewards are the highest they've ever been. You have an opportunity to win $8,000 as a reward for your successful referrals. And to find out more information, look at all of the emails that I'm sending out right now, or email me at ambassadors@ampcoil.com. Thank you all for holding space for the little announcement. And yeah, I have a little win to share. I try not to speak too much because I'm like, I work for AmpCoil, like my wins don't matter. But that's not true. I know that they matter. But I think it's interesting because on a community circle call, like maybe 3 months ago, when we were talking about mold, I was speaking about how I overcame mold toxicity and how healthy I was. And probably like the very month after that, I moved into a new home that is extremely moldy, like so moldy. And I have been actually going through a huge journey with mold myself. And I have been, I went through several weeks where I was like, oh no, I'm crashing and burning super hard right now. And I was doing really weird word replacement and forgetting things that I normally wouldn't forget. People who have worked with me in the past few years know that I'm a little bit too controlling and on top of my schedule. And I was really like, not tracking certain things. And I was like, oh no. And then I had a really beautiful moment where I sat down with myself and actually some counselors that I'm lucky enough to have in my life. And I was like, no, I'm not about to crash and burn. Like I have come so far in my health journey. I have so many tools and I can do this. And I'm really happy to say that I did a mold cleanse, right? And I noticed such a shift just in that week of doing the mold cleanse, which I honestly wasn't really expecting for some reason, because I feel like, yeah, I have a funny journey with my own health. That's how I ended up here at AmpCoil, because I have such a strange relationship to my body. It's such a beautiful one. I've been on such a personal journey with my own health, and I have so many limiting beliefs that I've been letting go of within my own body. And I have had such a win recently, because I haven't been doing word replacement anymore. A lot of those scary feelings of feeling disempowered and like I was about to crash and burn were greatly affirmed in the opposite of me being like, I'm actually really strong. And I feel like, yeah, it's so funny how life did that to me, because literally just the month before I was like, chatting away about how I overcame mold. And then I was like, dang it, how did I end up here? But it's been actually really good. So I just in full transparency, that's my little share. Yay.
Authenticity.
Mm.
It's great. It's great. And what were your three big takeaways from that experience, Jessa? Because you've been coiling a lot, and you've been focusing on your health and wellness for years and years and years. So it's a new experience, it's a new layer of the onion. What were the couple big ones?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me was and this came up when I got sick with COVID also. It was this realization that I had learned, my body had entrained to a different frequency that I could remember actually. And it was this feeling of, I realized like I didn't even have to coil if I didn't want to, but actually the coil really it helps me get there. But I was like feeling out in this other state of like sick, like, oh no, like sickness, and in this place of chaos or whatever. And I sat and like quieted myself and was like, no, I know how to relax my nervous system. Like my nervous system has been entrained to actually hold this really relaxed place. And I can hold this even when my external environment is chaotic, or even when there are toxins in my external environment. And this is what I think is so important about the like PEMF and magnetics and what we're doing with this technology, is that it's not dependent on our external circumstances. It's bringing our nervous system, which is like the core of our being, back to this state. And then everything outside of it, it doesn't matter what's going on, because we can actually hold that. So it's actually very deep and energetic and profound, and about, of course, the vagus nerve, because I think it's like one of the most key elements of health in my body. That's one takeaway.
That's beautiful. I would add, from everything everybody said today, about the mold and the metal and the COVID, remember at the end of the day, or people, right, the divisive nature of the world right now, people in general, you could look at people's behavior across the planet and say, when people can't control their own emotions, they try to control other people's. That's the first place people go. And so we can, with that, I think with like the mold and the metal and all the things, what we have is we have the ability that we can work with our body's response to the stimulation, to the metal, to the mold, to the mycotoxin, to the things, the environment, to the family dynamic. We can always work with that. You can always train that. There's a lot of overlap in a lot of the therapies that we talk about here that just strengthen the body's resiliency. And you can get through things really quick. I asked her to come on, but Caitlin was at the Biohacking Congress with us, and she got, the very next day, she came down with terrible case of COVID, went down really hard and really fast. But by Friday, she goes, I'm good. She was like, I'm good. I'm done. I'm 100%. But she had 3 days really going down hard. And she goes, she said the same thing. She was like, I'm so lucky. I know all of these things about the body. And I'm so lucky I went through Lyme and, had an experience where I knew what it was like to feel really, really bad. And she's like, I knew I had all the tricks in my bag. Luckily, she had 2 amp coils at her house too. So that was good also. But it's we can always work with the, to the question, do you have to keep running a cleanse, or do you have to keep doing mold cleanses? I'm a huge fan of running Demo Harmonizer and meditating. I'm a huge fan of running Higher Self and meditating. I'm a huge fan of running Relaxol and meditating, and seeing how I can work with my nervous system and how it's responding, and see what I can ask of it. Can I ask for more power for my liver? Yeah. Does my liver listen? Yeah. Yeah. Don't set limitations on what you can do. That's my thought. It's 7:30. We're going to close it down. All right, everybody. Thank you for being on the call. Please check out all the things that we got going on. Check out the schedule, check out the website, check out the new shopping cart, all the things. There's so much new stuff on AmpQuail. There'll be so much more. Hope to see you guys in 2022 or 2021 if you want to come to Austin in December. Bye.
Thank you.